This was the week I really started to believe I wasn't going to finish this piece. With just days left before it has to be shipped to my exhibition in Birmingham, I spent half a day renting a truck, driving nearly 100 miles to deliver artwork to another exhibition, and losing precious studio time that I really couldn't afford to lose. At one point, I stopped trying to figure out how I was going to finish the piece and started trying to figure out what I was going to do if I did it. But after a long drive, some unexpected encouragement, and some even longer days in the studio, I am starting to think I might still be able to pull this off. Here's what happened. Hi there, welcome back to the studio. If you've been following along, you know that I have been creating a textile piece that is soon to be picked up for shipping for my exhibition in Birmingham, England this summer. This week, my workflow was interrupted by something that couldn't be postponed. I had to deliver artwork to a museum for an exhibition that is opening this weekend. At first, I saw it as time I could not afford to lose. I thought this part would be straightforward. Of course, that's not exactly how things worked out. When I got to the rental location, the size of truck I wanted to reserve wasn't available. So instead, I had to drive to another location to pick one up the following day. Loading artwork into a truck is very different from loading almost anything else. The piece has to be handled carefully so that it doesn't shift during the drive. So before I closed the truck doors, I probably checked everything several times. Because once you're on the road, well, all you can do is trust that you've prepared everything well enough. Place to park because I have this big piece of artwork. So I wasn't sure where to drop off the work. I drove all the way up the hill and then I realized that I couldn't figure out where to drop off the work. And I walked down here and they're asking me to move the truck and park in front of the building. So I'm going to go do that. Hopefully I can get someone to help me because they want me to take it all the way down a hallway, and it's too heavy for me to do that by myself. All right, I'll keep you updated. So I'm driving back around because it's a one-way so that I can come to the front of the building to drop off the work. They said I can park here, so I'm going to park right here.
I'm Jenny Parsons. I'm the curator. Oh,
I like
you're a
how it's so
hugger.
far.
Oh, so nice to meet you. I'm so thrilled you're showing with us.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Alright, here it is. I will need help. You okay?
Yes.
curator was so generous. She wanted me to stay and enjoy the event that they have today. But I have another meeting. My day is packed. Beginning, driving the track was a little bumpy. I haven't driven the track in a long while. But here we are, on our way. I'm making a stop off the highway to get gas before I drop off the truck. Tired. Trying to figure out how to fill up a track that for some reason wouldn't work. I spent an embarrassing amount of time at the gas station trying to figure out what should have been a very simple task. Eventually, I figured it out. That's so windy. Oh my gosh. It's so loud. By the time I finally got back to the studio, I was exhausted. And this is where my thinking about the week started to change. For most of the week, I had been treating the museum trip as an interruption, as something that had taken valuable time away from finishing this work. But once I got back into the studio and started working again, I realized that wasn't entirely true. Seeing the museum, seeing the exhibition space, being reminded that artwork eventually leaves the studio and enters the world, all of that somehow gave me a renewed sense of urgency. So I started putting in some more longer days. And slowly, something unexpected happened. Instead of falling further behind, I started to feel like maybe, just maybe, I could still finish this piece on time. Today, as I come into the studio, I am so hopeful. I am so hopeful that I can see the end of the road. Yesterday, when I started the day, I didn't feel this way. However, because of all the work that I did yesterday, by the end of the day, I had put in so much work and I had moved the project closer to its destination. I am almost done with the figures and then the geometric shapes. And when I'm done with that, I'll be left with the background, which is one large piece. Yes, that is one large piece. However, the little things will be done. I'll no longer be switching threads and making a lot of decisions. It will be just one large piece that I am stitching. And then after that, I can do the finishing touches. But I am so hopeful today because I can see the end of the road. And it's so amazing, the difference one day can make. I'm not declaring victory quite yet. There is still a lot to do. And honestly, I still cannot tell whether I'll make the deadline. However, for the first time in a long while, I am hopeful. And so that's where things stand right now. Next week, I'll have a better sense of whether I'll be able to make the deadline or not. So I'll give you an update next week. Until then, create something beautiful and share it with the world.